Morning, everybody. Thank you very much for coming along. As you probably see, I'm not the build speaker. There was a cancellation, and Chris Heap kindly enabled me to step in and perhaps give you a little bit of a take on interactivity from where I'm coming from. I'll just introduce it by reminding everybody that 100 years ago, this was out-of-home advertising, if you like, and it was a bit one-way communication, as you know, and things have changed since then. And we know things have changed because there's new terminology and phrases being invented to describe things that you can't actually describe. And you may have come across some of them already. I don't know. You've probably heard of augmented reality. You may have heard of phygital. And you may not have heard of the articulated naturality web. Because these are phrases I think you're going to come across as we go forward. And what I'm going to try and do for you this morning is just cover a little bit about the quest for interactivity on packs and products and displays. Show you that there are a range of enabling technologies that we have available, and more coming along, that can deliver an interactive experience. I'm going to try and show you what the promise is and what the current state of the art is in terms of moving interactivity into a new area. And I'll give you some examples of what's happening now on packaging, posters, and active displays. And obviously, what it all means and what's going to happen in the future. If I could do that, I'd be a rich man, but just to give you a little bit of a picture of what's going on. My company is Interactive Product Solutions. We work with brand owners and their suppliers to basically create, design, and implement interactive experiences for their customers. And we use a whole range of technologies. We're not wedded to any one particular technology. We're basically driven on the requirement of the brand to actually create something exciting, something innovative for their customer base on their products. We know things are happening because we all saw the movie E.T. 25 years ago. And we know we're living in a connected world. I don't need to tell you that. But you may not know that we're beginning to create printable electronic devices where we can actually put electronics and light onto flexible surfaces, onto clothing, everywhere, mobile devices, things you carry around with you. And I'm going to show you some of those in a moment. As we all know, wireless communication has exploded, and the various systems we have now are quite mind-boggling, not only in terms of the bandwidth we have available, but also the ability to give a location. And of course, we've got some very clever software, and there's lots of that here in the show this week, as you know. And I think more than anything, we're talking about a lifestyle change here. We're all wanting to have things on the go. We're all wanting to go on a journey, if you like, with our smartphone, with our products, and we want some interactivity, and that's really the theme of what I want to cover today. Brands are obviously wanting to reach consumers and get to that market of one. One-to-one marketing is all. And of course, they want to be able to serve those customers wherever they are, whatever time of day it is, wherever they are in the world. And what's happening from our take on it is that, unlike a lot of things, the rate of change is actually accelerating with technology. The things that are happening and being developed are quite extraordinary. And technology, of course, is the key enabler. And our old friend, the smartphone, is king in this area. And I'll just start with this, really, because our friend Steve Jobs said a lot of things, but he said that we don't start with the technology, we start with the customer experience. And I think that was the source of tremendous success in the corporation, and it's where we come from in helping people work out what that experience needs to be, and then go back to where the technology is that can create that. Now, let's talk a little bit about this world about printables and packaging and promotional items. We've all got physical things with us, and as I say, there's two sort of worlds existing at the moment. On the right-hand side, we have the digital world, and we're streamed with videos, we have games, we have coupons delivered to us on our mobile phones. And on the left-hand side, we have what I'm calling the physical world. We've got a physical object that is actually present. It's branded, it's got communication on there. Very often it's one way, not interactive. Sometimes, of course, we can have sound, as we saw from the previous speaker. We can start to build sound into our experiences, and we can have a nice display. And our take is that we're actually seeing a mixture of the physical world and the digital world, and hence this expression that's been coined phys-digital. I can't even say it, but it's that melding of the two worlds. In other words, we're taking physical objects and we're making them part of the digital space, and that creates new experiences that can actually enhance the brand, encourage consumers, drive sales. There's a whole raft of technologies under there, which I'm going to cover in a second and show you what sort of things are making this possible. But let's start with printable electronics. I don't know if anybody has heard of printed electronics in the audience. Does anybody know what it is? Just to help me a little bit here. We're talking about printing in layers electronic components on standard printing machines, inkjet printers of all types. Traces, membrane switches, transistors, memories, printed. No silicon at all. And the promise of that is that we can start printing on not only glass, which is a rigid substrate, but polyester and paper and clothing and fabric. And that's happening right now. And the promise of this technology is that it's going to be very lightweight, it's going to be low cost, because we can make electronic components on 3-meter wide webs, and we're going to have functional devices onto things where we couldn't put electronics before. And the claim is that because we're talking about an additive technology, we're just printing layers of material on a substrate, we don't etch, there's no environmental hazards associated with etching off circuitry in the silicon processes. So it's environmentally friendly. The reality is that we have a lot of components out there already across the world. Billions of dollars and euros have been invested in this area, and I'm pleased to say in the UK we've got 4 centres of excellence on printed electronics, and we've got circuits, we've got switches, resistors, capacitors, displays, printed batteries, fully printed batteries that are recyclable, and we have logic. Now the logic that we've got at the moment isn't anywhere near as sophisticated as the logic we have with silicon devices, but it's probably at the 70s level, very simple logic. But for many of the things we want to do in terms of creating an interactive experience, that logic is more than good enough. We've got memory, but the memory is not particularly limited. And the other bad news is, although the price promise is it's low cost, we're still living, because the volumes are low, we're still living in a very high cost environment. But that's going to change. You may have seen a lot of the portable devices, and this is an OLED. OLED stands for Organic Light Emitting Diode. And there's a huge amount of investment taking place in this to create that type of screen for our electronic devices. I haven't seen any on the show this week because they're still very prototype and they don't work very well. But Samsung in particular are doing a fantastic amount of work in this area. And you will see flexible screens with that type of definition appearing in the next 12 months. You've all seen the Kindle. That's a printed electronic display. That's electronic ink. There's a color version available. That doesn't work too well either yet, but they'll solve the problems. If we move over to a different area, that's what a printed electronics photovoltaic cell looks like. So that's on a polyester film wrapped around a pen, and it will actually collect sunlight and convert that to electricity, which can drive an interactive experience, as I'll show you. So what are we talking about the applications? In the printable electronics area, we do have real products emerging for a variety of applications. This is promotional and point-of-purchase displays in particular, lighting, scrollable displays, animated posters. We've got mobile coupons that we can use for direct communication, and the medical area is also a very rich area for printable electronics. So when you take a pill out of a blister pack, the fact that the pack itself will record what time you took the pack and actually send a message to the nurse or if you're an elderly person, to make sure you've taken your pills at the right time so the medication works. That's a huge area. I'm not going to cover biosensors today, but there's a lot of work going on printed sensors as well for various applications. And we've got low energy lighting, and we've got our friend brand protection, the ability to actually incorporate something into that brand or product that actually authenticates it and helps secure the brand reputation. So let's focus on displays. And let's just remind ourselves the type of displays that we have available to us right now. And if we look over on the left-hand side, I've called it design-led, where we're actually putting light and we're putting things onto flexible substrates. So there's a dress. with a printed electronic display. This is lighting, which is printed around a walkway area. There's no data content in that. That's just an on or off light experience. But if you move over to the right-hand side, you can see the e-books, the Kindle type reader. There we have a high level of information content on that printed display. But in the middle, we've got a whole raft of things for outdoor advertising, and you'll see printed displays. I'll show you some of these in a moment. And also, if we come closer to home in terms of smart cards, this is a printed display on a smart card, which has a one-time passcode. So that can actually, they're also working on cards which can provide you with your balance, a visual display of your balance on the card. So this is what I mean by a printed display. And there's a whole spectrum of them that if you start looking at this area, you will come across. So let me just show you what I mean in terms of a pack. I'll probably go full screen. This is a printed display on a pack of cereals. What's happening here is that there is the electronics, the printed electronics in the pack itself, and there is a shelf. And this shelf actually is an RF energy source and activates the display on the pack. If we go on to, if you try this one, I'll find it. Where's it go? Sorry. There we go. You can see that all right. Similar idea. You can actually put printable electronic lights, essentially, onto a pack, and you can actually activate it with a reader, essentially. But the good news is you can also do that with a smartphone that's got NFC capability. So you will be able to go to that smartphone and actually, if you wanted to, illuminate those lights on that pack. What would you want to do that for? Perhaps you can help me. If we start moving up a little bit, these are printed displays. Again, all we're doing here is actually, this is an electroluminescent display. We're actually putting light into a printed area, and we're enabling it. Now, you might say, why not use conventional displays? Well, this particular one is powered, not very good. We've probably got too much light in here, but I think you get the idea. You don't have to have a display that's on the wall. You can have one on the floor, and you can walk on it. You can have a printable mat that you walk on that's activated. You can actually use it with membrane switches to activate certain parts of the display. You can actually link it to something that's on the wall as well. So when you're in a particular zone, that particular display activates on the right-hand side. And as I mentioned, well, maybe I mentioned before earlier on in the introduction, you can have it with sound as well. You can have printable sound. You can print devices like this that can make a sound. If you energize them, they will make a sound. They will play a tune. If we come on to the physical world, we're still in the physical world now. These are physical objects that we've got that we're doing something with, and we're adding a functionality to them. If you look at the world of magazines and printed media, we can have active magazine pages. This is an example here. I haven't got it animated, but when you actually pass a current through that, various parts of the text will actually light up in front of you. That's an electrochromic display, different type of technology. It doesn't matter what it is, but you can actually get things there. You can make that media interactive. You can bring it alive by energizing it. If you want to look at battery-powered devices, you may have seen some of these before on shelf-edge labels and displays. You can have this type of technology which cycles a message on here. I don't have a video on that, I'm sorry. But you just cycle a little message or a jingle going through on that display. And they'll last for about 7 or 8 months on the battery, which can be recharged. If we look at intelligent packaging as well, there's a whole load of work going on putting printed RFID devices onto products and packs. This is what they look like. They're just flexible substrates on polyesters. And they actually contain a unique number, and they can be used for traceability and trackability. And you're going to see a lot of those, what are called printable RFID, PRFID, radio frequency. We're still in the physical world. You can have printed active quiz cards. You press a button on the quiz card, and one of the answers lights up for you. You can, if you're taking medicine, similar thing, the fact that you've taken that medicine on a particular day. So you can start to make real things do something that they couldn't do before because we're putting electronic devices into places we couldn't get it. And obviously, with volumes, the price will fall. Finally, printed memory. This is what printed memory looks like. This is one of the leading suppliers. You can make it on wide widths. They have a whole series of very low-cost card devices, like these little giveaway collectible cards here, where you can collect points, you can store the memory, it becomes non-volatile, take it away, and go back to the kiosk or the reader and actually either add points or redeem your points in that type of way. Very low cost, orders of magnitude lower than RFID or NFC. Now, that's all very well, and that's all technology gobbledygook, really, and it doesn't stop. That's the good news. But where we're coming from is that we're seeing, with our customer base, a requirement to start linking physical objects into the digital space. And I'm going to cover that now and what's happening in the digital space that might be of interest. And we're looking to make a difference in the customer journey in this area. In other words, we're going to give the customer some reason to do it. We need to add value. We need to give them the bang for their buck. We're going to give them a coupon. We're going to give them points if they start interacting with this. We're going to let them enter a competition. We're going to give them peace of mind. We're going to say, look, this product is authentic. It is genuine. There's instructions on there associated with that product you can easily access. Or maybe its origin. It's come from a particular area. We're going to give ideas and inspiration, recipe ideas. And of course, we're going to give entertainment, games. We're going to let someone play a game. We all do that on our mobiles. And of course, we're going to go into social networking. And we're going to tell all our friends about it. And in order to trigger a phygital experience, we need something on the product that actually takes us there. And you probably have all seen the QR code on the right-hand side, because that's a trigger. But you have to scan it. I know the phone camera's a lot better now, but you've still got to scan it and it'll take you to a website. There's no real security in that. It could take you anywhere. You can get viruses and all stuff. But very low cost, easily visible. You know what you've got to do, and people have sort of got used to the idea. But there's more. There's more ways of doing that. We've got graphic watermarking. We can actually have the camera phone take a picture of that. We can recognize an image. We can recognize the natural features of a product. So the classic one is, say, the Coke bottle or the Heinz ketchup bottle. The software can recognize that image and then take you to that particular place. And we can put electronic algorithms into the printed pack as well, which trigger the experience. So let's look at digital watermarking first. You may have heard about this. It was invented a long time ago to protect copyright of images and music. And every single song that's actually transmitted digitally has a watermark in it, so the author can claim royalties. And this is what they look like. If you haven't seen them, you don't actually know it's actually on the image. That's the original image. That's a digital watermark. And there's a little pattern on the back there, which the algorithm can actually pick up in the optics on the camera and actually validate the fact. And that can then trigger a digital experience through that particular trigger. We can use touchscreen authentication. You can actually print on a card an electronic signature which the capacitive screen of the smartphone can recognize. So you can use music, but you can put it over the screen, and that will then take you into a different secure area. This is covert. You don't need internet access for that, and it can actually take you to a particular location or device. Printed electronics, very low-cost devices. And we've got near-field communication and electronic watermarking, which is an electronic watermarking where you have a unique reference number. And again, you will see if you go onto the NFC area, the zone, you'll see examples of smart posters that contain that. And you're able to go to the N sign. That's where that signifies that it's NFC enabled. And you can trigger an experience on your smartphone through that NFC device. So there's lots of applications for that. And those are smart posters. It doesn't stop there from the technology point of view and the digital experience. You can actually make interactive surfaces that operate behind glass and provide an interactive experience. And a lot of activity going on in the luxury products area here, where you can physically interact with a luxury product, a drink, through that particular little touch screen. That's a printed electronic device, this little unit here. That's all technology. So I hope you were paying attention earlier. And just to remind you, what we're talking about when we talk about augmented reality, virtual reality, and articulated naturality. Virtual reality just replaces the world with a simulated one. As you probably know, the military have been leaders in this area because they have battlefield simulations and they have all sorts of warfare activities and games going on. Augmented reality is this live, direct or indirect view of the physical world. And I'll show you some examples, and I know Tia Mershon are going to show you more examples of that later on. But this is where you generate some computer-generated image that overlays the physical product. And if my videos work, I'll show you some in a second. But articulated naturality is really a little bit like the Minority Report experience, where you use a gesture, you throw something across the room, and something happens on that screen. And this is where the future is going to be, because the camera, once it recognizes where you are and what you're carrying, can actually overlay information relevant to you. And what I mean by that is, if you're in a street for augmented reality, the fact that, so this isn't a very clear sign, the fact that you know where the gas station is, you know where a particular location is, you know what's at that crossroads, because it's all overlaid onto your physical presence in front of that. It knows where you are, location-based AR. And that is what I mean by overlaying the real world. When you think of the games environment, a lot of work going on with cards and Pokemons and avatars that can actually physically overlay your game board on your particular screen. Now you're merging the physical world with a digital experience. If I can just try that one. I'll just try that while see if I can load up there. I haven't got the video embedded into it. But one of the most successful applications commercially has been with Lego boxes. And here's the child with a Lego box at a kiosk. And of course, he wants to really see, and I can't get the internet server, so sorry about that. But I can explain what happens, really. He takes the box to the kiosk, and on the screen appears the 3D model of the object inside the box for him. So you can actually go there and see the product. So here we have somebody the kid wants to buy the Lego set, and he wants Dad to show him how it works. He goes to the kiosk, and there it is already for him. Maybe I should show you this one as well. Yeah, perhaps I should. I should have shown you this one. Boom, 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 boom. I'll just load up my machine. I should have got it ready earlier on. Go. Here's a poster for the Happy Foot. Hopefully if I can get some coverage. Yes, here we are. Go up here. Where's my little Happy Foot? Oh. Where's he gone? Disappears. Typical. Where'd he go? It's disappeared, I'm sorry. But essentially you have an application on here and you can physically point at that poster and then it will actually come alive on your iPhone. You'll see, I think, more examples from Tia Mershon later on that. And that is basically how augmented reality can work and bring you into here. And that's Minority Report, that's Tom Cruise, and that's 10 years ago. And that Minority Report experience is possible to happen, make it happen right now with all sorts of devices. He's got his, if you remember the film, if any of you saw it, he did have a cereal pack there. And he got so irritated with the tweeting and the blinking on that cereal pack, he actually threw it across the room and all the cornflakes or whatever, all the pine nuts came out of there. So it's that type of experience we're trying to create with the interactive world. So, so what's my summary? We're talking about what I regard as a mega trend. The trend for brands to demand an interactive experience with their customers. And they want to strengthen relationships with customers, and they want to identify subsectors of consumers. But they've got to give them something in return. And they've either got to give them some reason to do it, some added value. So when you do click and start engaging with a product in front of you, you get a coupon, you get loyalty points, you enter a competition. As I mentioned, you get peace of mind. You can get some usage instructions, product information, safety stuff involved in that. You can validate the product. You can get inspiration. Perhaps you can showcase new product ranges and applications and show recipes and ideas. You can have a bit of fun. You can play a game. You can download some exclusive content. You can share stuff through social media. You can have a new experience. You can have your say. You can do surveys online. You can suddenly relate to that product and link the physical world with the digital world to take you somewhere else. There's a lot of companies involved in this area. If you're not aware, I'd like to thank all those people who we're aware of that are in this area. And they're all really not struggling, but they're searching for how they use all this technology. And they're looking for, and we're looking in interactive product solutions for people who want to engage with us in that and take some of this core technology and actually make it happen in a real world. So thank you very much. If there are any questions, now is the time.